Like, all right, so I am very well aware of the Kirsche situation going on right now with Mythic Entertainment apparently doing everything that it can to fucking commit harikiri in public. But for another time, right? I have something I want to talk about. Uh, since I have I said I promised to react to a video from each of the Sky Bros, and that includes Nux Taku, right? I kind of wanted to respond to do a sub commentary to one of Nux Taku's, political commentaries. Kind of like I've done with like Kirsche and right, and Leaflet before in Rev. So today we're going to be doing exactly that. We are going to be seeing, we're going to be providing sub commentary for Nux Taku on the video Tucker Carlson is going to fucking jail. Now, to be perfectly honest, I did call people like Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes as like I did catch them as like very obviously inauthentic human beings, like right from the fucking get go, right? Tucker Carlson, I think, was authentic at a time, but I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I think his bizarre behavior is the result of him selling his soul to the Qataris, right? It would explain a lot. It would explain why he is so seemingly he's not ignorant of Islam. There's no fucking way, to be perfectly honest. But why he's so ready to just do the leftist tactic of pretending to not understand what you're saying and therefore making discourse impossible on the Islam question, right? And it also seems to me to explain why some of his more seemingly worried behavior is the way it is, right? Especially when he's talking about like socialism, and it's like, oh yeah, can you blame the kids for thinking about socialism? It's like, interesting, Mr. Carlson. I don't think you're an idiot. I'm pretty sure you know what's wrong with both socialism and Islam. So it really gets the almonds activated when you see someone like turn in this particular way. So, yeah, let's see what Nux Taku has to say. I do like Nux and Kirsche and Leaflet because they bring the receipts. I personally need to. It's hard for me to figure out because like I am in so many different like areas of interest. It is really fucking hard sometimes for me to figure out where the hell like the a good source for certain things is. So yeah, let's see what goes on. Hopefully he brings the receipts because that'll give me more to talk about. Okay.
Now we have to talk about Tucker Qatarlson because
That's a fucking good name, by the way, Qatarlson. Yeah, yeah. Again, I'm pretty sure he was bought by the Qataris, and actually, I'm just realizing that I probably need to move my character so that I'm not like obscuring Nux here, right? Okay. Now that we've done this, I am aware about the potential legal situation Tucker Carlson got him in, and to be perfectly honest, doesn't surprise me. It legitimately does not surprise me, but we'll let Nux talk about it because I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he's going to talk about in this video, considering the title of the video. Hold on, actually, does Nux actually provide commentary on the bottom? Except for the fact that this came from a particular stream, apparently not really. Okay. So let's see what the potential downfall of a once respected, journalist has in store for us. Oh, good lord.
this guy has
That's the problem I was having. I had the volume down too low.
been popping off the entire war. He has been radically pro-Iran the entire time, demoralizing the American people as much as he possibly can. All right, I'm going to just show you two clips of his.
Look, man. Again, this is another reason I think he was bought by the Qataris. Is just the sheer irrationality with which he holds certain positions. And again, the fact that he pretends like he doesn't understand when he very clearly does, and you can see it on his face that he does understand what you're talking about. He's just pretending not to fucking understand it He's acting like a goddamn leftist. Where is my video? Yeah, I'm gonna have to point it out again. I have a 4-hour and 45-minute video on the Iran situation, trying to keep people from being blackpilled on the situation, and pointing out this was an unavoidable conflict, and that, yes, this could actually end up being a benefit for everyone. Like, there's an actual reason that I say this could satisfy just war principles, right? The first hour of the video is fucking, Iranians celebrating that Americans are actually intervening, right? So, yeah, I wonder who these people who are protesting the conflict are actually like backing, right? Yeah. Anyway, so that being said, I think Asmongold is completely right on this particular fucking topic. And I try to bring my receipts. Again, it's like 4 hours and 45 minutes, almost on the fucking dot. So, yeah, a lot of the people who are saying that this is completely like disastrous have not been paying any fucking attention. A lot of the people, I actually got a bunch of people in a conversation, in a voice chat one time, and one of the many groups I'm in, to like back the fuck down when I just pointed out, what the hell, given everything I've told you, right? Given everything I've told you, what was the reasonable alternative? I love these people, right? But sometimes you do have to just put the responsibility in someone else's position and be like, realistically speaking, what is the actual out of this? And then watch the hamster wheel spin and nothing come out. And yeah, so I love these people, but you know, sometimes we all have a moment of retardation and we need to be brought back down to earth, right? I think this is not, but I think that was like just, I don't think that was malicious. I do think the thing with Tucker Carlson is actually quite malicious. That's just me. That's the vibe I get based on how he acts. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm assuming malice where idiocy can suffice and therefore violating Hanlon's razor. I don't think so. I don't think Tucker Carlson is this dumb. And if idiocy can't explain it, well, you know, again, Hanlon's razor would suggest malice, right? So anyway, let's go.
Just to like show you what I'm trying to talk about, this is one of them.
The President of the United States today said on camera, we're thinking about using nukes against Iran.
He never said that. He said we're not ruling anything out, which is the correct thing to say in war. You never rule something out in war. You always let the enemy think that you're going to do whatever. All right? You never rule anything out. But Tucker Carlson is an enemy, in my opinion, of America. And he is allying himself, in my opinion, with the Iranian regime. And not only my opinion, he's going to jail.
Yeah, so Nux is totally right about this. I mean, the whole thing is like, it's a very basic principle. Anyone who's even heard of The Art of War by Sun Tzu is familiar with the line, all war is deception, right? You can't let the enemy know your plans, otherwise they're just going to circumvent whatever you're going to do and frustrate whatever it is you're going to try to do, right? So you never tell anyone what your boundaries are with like what you are not going to do. Now, obviously there's certain things you can't do in war. You still have to abide by just war principles, but just war principles don't mean let yourself die, right? Just war principles doesn't mean, you know, be unreasonably moral. It's like, oh, a single squirrel died on the street, therefore the war is unjust, we must stop, right? No, fuck off, right? The just war theory is, you know, what is actually takes into account pragmatic considerations about, you know, the actual reality of war. And I talk about this in my own video about this, about, like, again, the just cause of war, the just means of war. I talk about even the new concept of, like, the just end of war. So it's like, yeah, you have no obligation to, again, tell your enemy that we're going to respect the rules of war. First of all, because the current rules of war from the Geneva Convention are fake and gay, to be perfectly honest. Only like 2 countries fucking abide by the Geneva Convention, right? And it's always to their detriment that they actually fucking do it. Not that the convention itself has any kind of moral authority to compel any of these nations anyway. After all, the United Nations was a mistake, and it continues to be a mistake, and we should stop funding that fucking program. That being said, sorry, bit of a tangent. But this is also a interesting area of like shadow projection. There's no goddamn way that Tucker Carlson does not know about the thing I was talking about in my 5-hour video, right? Where I fucking talk about the 12er apocalypticism and how, again, these people had the Iranian regime, not the people, the regime, because the people and the regime are two different things. How the regime that was killing their people, by the way, mass murdering protesters and their own people when the internet was down, right? Where the fuck was Tucker's apparent concern about that shit when it was going on, right? So like, oh yeah, what's Tucker's fucking option? You think we should just let the Iranian regime kill their own people when they actively asked for us to help them, right? Anyway, so aside from the fucking like moral fagging that Tucker Carlson is trying to do, the issue here is that it's a complete inversion of reality. The reason why we wouldn't let the Iranian regime actually get nuclear weapons is because they've made it abundantly clear. They've directly said that if they ever got a nuclear weapon, they would actually use it. And yes, they would, because because the regime is apocalyptic. They are people who are trying to move the hand of Allah in history. They're trying to maximize chaos. This is one of the reasons why they actually fund terrorist organizations globally, even terrorist organizations that doctrinally differ from them. Their entire goal is to destabilize the world and to globalize the intifada, to kill as many Jews as possible, to fulfill the hadithic prophecy, right? Like, oh Allah, hunt and kill the Jew until the Jew will hide behind a stone or a tree, and the stone in the tree will cry out, "Oh Jew, Allah, Muslim, servant of Allah, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him." Because the Mahdi cannot actually come, and herald the end of the current world until that happens, right? What the fuck are we doing here? Like, none of this is all that particularly secret or like hard to understand, right? So then it's like, it's so fucking ridiculous that like the whole point of us, again, intervening in the Iranian project, right, is to keep them from getting nukes, because because the calculus that they have, that they're running on, actually justifies and encourages the use of nuclear warfare. Our math, because we don't want the world to fucking end, is we want to stop that from happening. And it's not like the Iranian government is really going to negotiate about any of this stuff, right? So it's like, yeah, fair enough, right? So all we have here is an instance of like Tucker Carlson fucking shadow projecting, like, for Iran onto the United States government, accusing the United States government of doing what the Iranian government has done, which is say that they will use nuclear weapons, or they're thinking about using nuclear weapons. So it is definitely an odd experience of watching someone shadow project for someone else. And I can't help but think that, like, again, money might be involved in this. That's just my personal opinion. I can't prove it. It's my rant. But I do think recently Tucker Carlson has been like very disingenuous, and in a way that it doesn't seem to me like ignorance. It seems to me personally like active malice.
Could eliminate Iran.
Probably going to jail.
Make it uninhabitable forever.
Of course, that wouldn't require nuclear weapons. We could also just fucking like actually carpet bomb the entire place, right? And salt the earth. Like, we genuinely don't need to use nukes to do that. Just pointing that out. Tucker Carlson did point out like one way we could in theory do that. But guess what? That's not the only way we could do that. If we really wanted to, which we don't, and by the way, he cut that conversation out. He's taking that statement completely out of context to catastrophize about this. And again, when people start catastrophizing, they're being disingenuous. Either that, or like they've been tunnel visioned on a particular issue and they can't see objectively. So
in an hour.
Who's not saying that?
We could take them out by this afternoon. In fact, within an hour, they literally would never be able to build that country back.
We could.
Again, this doesn't necessarily have to refer to nukes. We literally decapitated the government in again in only a couple hours, right? Like, just completely demolished like the entire like governmental structure. And yeah, sure, the IRGC is still operational in the fact that, like, again, the true believers are still fighting, but again. That doesn't necessarily require nuclear weapons to justify. He's just saying if we really wanted to go scorched earth, there is nothing that they could do about it. And the reason he says this is because he's highlighting the fact that we didn't do this. That's the part Tucker Carlson is leaving out here. we did not do this. We're saying what he said, we could do this. This is an intentional juxtaposition on the part of the president, right? Again, the president's not right on all things, but in this particular thing, it's not that hard to understand what the fuck he's trying to say. And again, as someone who's done multiple interviews before, I do not believe for a second that Tucker Carlson actually does not understand this.
He's just stating we could, and he's right. We could nuke Iran. Not saying that we will. In fact, we probably won't. 99% chance we don't nuke Iran. Just to make it clear, 99% chance it's not going to happen, but we could, right? So they should know who they're dealing with, right? When they're saying death to America and they're trying to kill us and they're doing all this shit and they're pandering and they're yelling and they're posting AI slop videos that they're winning the war, they should know that we could nuke Iran. We could, objectively.
We have weapons that can do that. Well, those are nuclear weapons.
True.
The President of the United States is saying out loud, if this gets more intense,
No, he's not saying out loud.
we could nuke them. And
We could. We could nuke them. Will we? Probably not. 99% chance we won't. Trump's never directly said that he's planning on doing it. Right? You are just a propaganda agent. You are quite literally an agent of the enemy.
This is kind of like the whole thing where it's like, when someone asked him, are you going to rule out military action when it comes to like taking Greenland? And he said, I'm not going to rule it out. He's not saying he would do it. He's just saying it's like, look, man, all options are on the table. I don't know what is happening in, like, again, the next 4 years. As far as I know, shit could hit the fan, and maybe in some hypothetical world, we might have to take Greenland through military force. Now, I disagree with that. But again, he's at no point in that entire thing that people clip about that did he actually say, yeah, sure, I'd be willing to take Greenland through military force as like a first option. No, that's not what he's saying at all. And like, he didn't even imply that he would use force to take Greenland at all anyway, right? So it's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Anyway, so again, hey, when you criticize someone, make sure you're criticizing someone for what they actually fucking say and do. It's not that hard. If you have to make shit up about a person, that actually says quite a bit about the person, about the fact that you can't pin them on something real.
And again, there's been very little attempt to convince you that we did this in America's national interest.
We all know the national interest of America. These people, again, I feel like I'm going crazy watching people's coverage of this. Remember, if you believe this, you fell for the PSYOP, because Tucker Carlson is part of the PSYOP. All right, he's quite literally part of the PSYOP. He was a guy on the in on Trump. He was like one of Trump's buddies. He was pro-Trump, and now all of a sudden he's against it? Wow, he must be onto something. Unless he's literally a puppet of the Islamic regime, which you'll see he is, in my opinion.
So I'm going to stop it there, because again, I have to fucking point this out, right? So, my video, in the video I did, right, not only do I show Iranians celebrating this going on, right, celebrating that they could potentially get their country back, right, I talk about the military issues. I talk about the 12-hour apocalypticism. Let me go back here. I quote the Sunnah, for example, right? I know it's not 12. I know that's not Shia, but it's the same basic motivation. It's also why you can't trust the Saudis. Except the Saudis don't want to bring the world to, don't want to bring the coming of the Mahdi, right? They don't have a disordered hatred of the world that we currently live in. I talk about the geopolitics of all this. I talk about some of the horrifying things that the Iranian government was doing to their own people that will almost certainly get that video age restricted when YouTube actually catches the fuck on about it, right? And we'll end up killing that particular video. Talk about how this relates to China, because guess what? China does actually have something to do with a lot of this. Same thing with China and Maduro. Turns out it wasn't just about Venezuela. Venezuela was actually doing things with China to hurt the United States and to cause death in the United States. So, yeah, fair enough, right? So I talk about that in detail. I talk about how the fact that people are finally realizing that it's not the political, this is a religious conflict, that the Muslim caliphate, right? Like the whole goal of Islam to conquer the world is an actual thing. I talk about that explicitly in this particular video, right? I give my citations and my sources. I talk about, for example, the benefit that this could have in like increasing apostasy across the Muslim world. So it's like, again, I go into all kinds of detail about all this shit, including like how China is funding the feeding weapons to Iran that should actually fucking concern like not just Israel but the United States. So anyway, yeah. yes, this whole thing about, oh, this isn't justifiable under just war considerations. No, this is actually a psyop. This is actually bad. Some of these people, like, obviously just don't know this stuff. There's a lot of it. No one can be a geopolitical expert on like every fucking topic, right? And to be fair, a lot of people couldn't identify Iran on a map, and there's no reason for an American to be able to do that, to be perfectly honest. Why the fuck does any normal American need to worry about some sandbox nation on the other side of the goddamn world, right? It's the same thing with like, no Iranian for the most part needs to really know where, let's say, Bolivia is, right? Why in God's name would an Iranian need to understand where some random, like, Hispanic nation on the other, Spanish-speaking land on the other side of the world is, right? It's not exactly all that relevant to their life, right? Yeah, so I went in detail, and I have a sneaking suspicion very few people could actually watch that video and come back and say, you know what, Tucker Carlson was right. Right? I'm just saying. Like, this is a subject I do have autistic levels of knowledge on. I needed help organizing my thoughts, and thankfully on very specific issues I had some help with that, right? But there's no black pilling required for this particular conflict.
The Secretary of State just came out and said we did it because Israel forced our hand. So they've been.
Trump directly stated, we forced Israel's hand. All right?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable that everyone forgets that.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Israel had to go to this conflict anyway, because even if the United States wasn't going to back Israel, Israel was still going to get in this fight. Even if Israel did nothing, Iran was still going to attack them. I fucking talk about that again in my own commentary video. I talk about explicitly that. Again, the majority of Iranians don't give a shit about, like, Israel, to be perfectly honest. The ones who care about Israel are the same people like in Hamas, like in the 12er regime, like in the Wahhabi regime, like the Wahhabi Salafi, regime in Saudi Arabia. All these people, right, who, again, want the extermination of the Jews. Just like they can't have any peaceful coexistence with any Jewish nation at all anyway. Also, anyway, even besides that, they were never going to have peace with Christian nations either. Their entire religion teaches that the Christian and the Jew, so it's Catholic, Orthodox, Protestant, all of y'all, right, are the worst of creatures. Y'all are worse than roaches, worse than pigs. Like, their religion teaches to subjugate, and the way that they're trying to do that now is through demographic replacement. We all fucking know this, right? Like, Iran was going to be this conflict was unavoidable. If you let them actually develop the nuclear program, they were absolutely going to actually use nuclear weapons, because you're forgetting that the people who are actually in charge, it's not the people that were it's not the people on the ground who were getting murdered for protesting their government, by the way. It's the people who are actually in charge of all these projects. They actually do love death more than they love life. The rightly guided caliphs were very clear that they would not trust the makr of Allah, the deception of Allah, unless they had 1 foot already in paradise. This is not that fucking hard to understand, people, right? And yeah, just again, Trump said that he may have forced their hand. That actually could very well be the case. That very well could be the case, right? Trump did have a vested interest in stopping the murder of the protesters, right? He very clearly put his flag in the sand there. So it's like, yeah, it very well could be that he actually made the first move. Now, anyway, sorry. We live in a very strange time where people don't actually read, and it's very bothersome.
We forced Israel's hand. I'll show you. He directly says it. But of course, Tucker Carlson doesn't care about the truth.
Did Israel force your hand to launch these strikes against Iran? Did that pull the United States into this war?
No, I might have forced their hand. You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack if we didn't do it.
And they almost certainly were, but that's a conversation for another subject, for another time.
They were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people that do this very successfully and have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand. But Israel was ready, and we were ready, and we've had a very, very powerful impact.
So again,
Now, just again, like body, you know, we all know like body reading, body language reading is fake and gay, right? But anyway, even if we were gonna like conspiratorial this shit, right? I don't really see any signs of him looking to formulate an excuse in his head, right? It does seem like he's being honest in describing this particular situation, the way he's carrying himself, right? I do believe the guy when he says that, again, he may have forced Israel's hand because he made the first move, right? He's not exactly trying to come up with a defense. He is just articulating himself and what he did, right? Just
Tucker Carlson is just literally an agent of the enemy, all right? Israel forced our hand when the president, in no minced words, directly stated the opposite.
Been pretty direct about what is going on here and what the stakes potentially are. President of the United States threatening nuclear weapons. Hold on.
Threatening nuclear weapons? He just said we could. And we could. Like, we all knew that we could. Why are you acting all baffled? We all knew that we could do that. All right? Are we going to do that? Almost definitely not. But we all knew we could. That's why I'm so tired of this shit. Like,
I will also pause because I just noticed this watching this. There's a lot of very exaggerated facial expressions in this particular video too. I mean, when you're like a VTuber, for example, with a model to track, you know, like Nuxtaku, yeah, you have to exaggerate your expressions to get the most out of the model, right? There's no particular reason to do that here, and again, personally to me, something feels a little bit off, again, about how exaggerated these facial expressions actually are. And he seems a little tight-lipped, actually, too.
but again, so this is Tucker Carlson. Really not. We could.
Weapons. Hold on. About what is going on here and what the stakes potentially are. President of the United States threatening nuclear weapons. Hold on.
Threatening nuclear weapons? He just said
I would love to see Body Language Ghost actually analyze this. This would be interesting.
we could. And we could. Like, we all knew that we could. Why are you acting all baffled? We all knew that we could do that. All right? Are we going to do that? Almost definitely not. But we all knew we could. That's why I'm so tired of this shit. Like, but again, so this is Tucker Carlson, esteemed advisor of Donald Trump, stating Trump is threatening nukes. Again, we're all living in reality. We know what's happening. And this is Tucker Carlson saying that our soldiers, what Trump actually wants is our soldiers to rape Iranian women.
Unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter if they want.
No, it doesn't. And never in the history of the United States has anything like that ever happened.
Yeah, I mean, Nux is entirely right. Nux is entirely right. Actually, now actually getting the chance to watch this, to crash out about this. This is fucking absurd. Tucker Carlson really believes that like the conditions of unconditional surrender are the purview of the soldiers on the ground, and not the military commanders who are actually leading the forces. First of all, is the mistake he's making here. Like one of the very many mistakes he's making here. Second of all, he's also again shadow projecting for the like opposite regime. It's like, again, it's like, yeah, sure, unconditional surrender to like the fucking Islamic State, for example, means that, again, like the Islamic State soldiers get to fucking like, yeah, you know, take your daughters as sex slaves. Yeah, fair, you know, fair enough, right? That is the thing that happened to the Yazidis, right? And the Kurds and the other people who were, you know, subjugated under, you know, ISIS rule. And, you know, to be fair, this is also what happened in the, you know, the unconditional surrender of the Iranians to the, you know, Islamic Republic, right? Under the Ayatollah, right? See what happened with the unconditional surrender there. But here's the thing. That's an entirely different disposition than the disposition of the American soldier and the American military, like, command chain. Like, okay, Mr. Carlson, are you gonna say that like unconditional surrender to like the fucking what's a good example? To like let's say the Holy Roman Empire, right? You're gonna say that that's what that means of the Holy Roman Empire, right? I don't really think so. I don't really think that the Crusaders and the jihadis have the same disposition. Similarly, I don't really think a modern American soldier has the same disposition of a fucking like mujahideen. I think that doesn't make any sense. Again, it's one of those things that's so baffling. I can't take it. I can't take someone saying this as like authentic. They're either actually retarded or they're fucking lying about this. And again, I know Tucker Carlson is not a retard. which means you could fill in the blank there, right? That two, I guess technically he could also be going crazy. That's also something technically that could be going on. You know, the whole liar, lunatic, madman. No, hold on. What was the Lewis trilemma? It was the true, liar, and the madman trilemma. Hold on. In this case, it would be more of a gone crazy, retard, or fucking like a liar trilemma. And in this case, I don't think he's going crazy, and I don't think he is retarded. So, you know, there's my answer to the trilemma personally, but, you know. So.
But what are we talking about? Like, we want an unconditional surrender, meaning a surrender with no conditions. A condition would be like, surrender, but the Islamic regime remains to terrorize people. Surrender, but the Islamic regime gets to still fund terrorists. Surrender, but the He wants a surrender with no buts, no conditions. That's what an unconditional surrender means. Unconditional surrender doesn't mean we go rape their wives and daughters. And it is such a bafflingly insane thing to say. Only an Islamist would say something like that, because quite literally, after Islam wins a war, they rape the wives and daughters of the fallen. In fact, Muhammad himself did it. All right, Muhammad himself did it. And the way Muhammad died was because after massacring a woman's father, brother, and husband, he wanted to rape her and had her cook him a meal, and she poisoned him. That's literally how he died. It's the gayest fucking death ever. But managed to find a way to do it that way. All right, so Muhammad himself did that stuff. He advocated for that. All right, they take sex slaves in almost every single Islamic country after these battles, like in.
Yeah, so the battle he was talking about where, like, Muhammad got poisoned is the battle at Khaybar. And I think, actually, that was back in the day, again, back during the height of ISIS. I think I remember people chanting something along the lines of, like, Khaybar, Ya Yahud, or something like that. That is, like, again, just calling back to that shit. But yeah, so besides being a very evil man, Muhammad also was a fucking idiot, to be perfectly honest. He did not see that coming somehow, right? Yeah, it's kind of interesting how he died. He said in the Quran that if he made up any revelation that was not from Allah and said it was from Allah, then he would be killed by having his aorta severed. And then, like, years after he got poisoned, as he slowly died, last words he said is, "I feel as if my aorta is being cut." Again, it really activates the almonds, doesn't it? That's in the hadith, and it's multiply attested in the hadith, and it's extremely embarrassing for the Muslims who were actually involved in the chain of narration. So I think that this is a historical event. It satisfies both the criteria of embarrassment, so it's not something I would expect a Muslim believer to actually make up if they were trying to lie about this shit. And again, it's multiply attested by different independent sources. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is actually something that happened.
Syria, they take Yazidi sex slaves all the time. Heartbreaking as that sounds. I mean, again, maybe you're confused here, sir. But that's.
They also did it to Christians as well. I forgot to bring that up, but yeah, there was a. It wasn't just the Kurds and the Yazidis, it was also the Arab Christians as well. And yeah, again, Mujahideen are not good people. They do not abide by the laws of war, and they will attempt to they will try to use your principles to get you killed.
Kind of more like that's what they do. All right, Yazidi survivor Nadia Murad. I was raped every day for 6 months. They killed my mother for being too old to be a sex slave. They killed all my brothers for refusing to convert to Islam. They called us devil worshippers.
So that's a common thing in the Middle East, is the association of the Yazidi as being devil worshippers, because it's not all that important here, but that's been a running theme in, like, just the Yazidi history, to be perfectly honest. I'm gonna see if I can find something that I can then put into, like, the description, because it's not really something that I'm gonna go into here. But the Yazidism is a Gnostic religion. It has a long history of persecution for the claims of being a devil worshiper. But then again, to be fair, if I remember correctly, I think that was also a claim that was used to to attack the Romani people, the gypsies, to call them devil worshippers as well. But I think I need to double check that one because I'm not entirely sure if that's 100% correct. That might have also just been in a particular region. So.
Right, so the reality is, I think you might be confused here, Mr. Tucker Carlson, as to who exactly does the sex slavery. All right, but this is what Tucker Carlson has been saying that Trump's strategy is. Unconditional surrender means we rape your daughters, and then he uses like the most annoying political trick ever. Pay attention.
Yeah. So yeah. Before he gets to this trick, because this part, like this video that he's referring to, I have seen before. But that being said, in principle, in like some hypothetical scenario, technically, Tucker Carlson is right in like the most pedantic way, right? I mean, if it's unconditional surrender, and then the Trump administration says, "All right, this is what he just said is our terms of your surrender," then technically that would be part of unconditional surrender. But again, that's a nested assumption he slipped in there. There is no way in hell that that's actually implied when Donald Trump says that they're seeking unconditional surrender. There's not a bloody chance in hell that that's actually what he's getting at, right? That is absolutely a malicious, that is an absolutely malicious red herring inserted into the conversation to catastrophize, right? So.
Unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter if they want. And everyone knows that. And
everyone knows that.
I mean, I was in the military. I didn't know that. Fucking didn't cross my mind when I heard unconditional surrender. Wonder why it crossed Mr. Tucker Carlson's mind when it, I don't think he was ever in the military. Where did he get this idea?
Anytime someone tells you everyone knows that, means they're probably lying to you.
has been.
Yeah, it's effectively a. Is it dark? I'm gonna have to look this up during this thing, but it's effectively a form of gaslighting, right? It's a form of like trying to make you feel as if you're crazy or as if you're stupid for not agreeing with the person. It is a form of like social and emotional manipulation, trying to attack the pride of a person in the middle of the conversation and trying to coerce them into compliance, right?
If there's one consistent lesson of history, it means unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter.
Did we do that to Japan after we nuked them?
So there will be some Japanese right-wing nationals who said yes, that this did happen. I mean, technically, yes, there were instances of American troops who did rape Japanese women. That is a thing that did happen. Yes, fair enough. Not to the extent that a lot of people want to claim it did happen, right? That being said, it was a thing that did happen, and it wasn't exactly something that was being promoted at the time, right? Just saying, right? So, but yeah, just because something does happen as an unfortunate consequence of something, especially if it's something that happens like at a minuscule level compared to the number of people involved, right? Then I think that this is, again, especially nowadays, where you would absolutely get fucking court-martialed and sent to Leavenworth to turn big rocks into small rocks and the small rocks into even smaller rocks, right? Again, I am very certain that, hypothetically speaking, if this did happen, right, this unconditional surrender, we had boots on the ground, which, by the way, I don't think we have any intention of putting boots on the ground. Hypothetically speaking, let's say there are boots on the ground, and then some American soldier, rapes a Native woman, right? I have a very strong suspicion that said individual, if caught, is going to go to Leavenworth and break big rocks into small rocks and small rocks into smaller rocks and repeat until his body breaks for a very long time. I do not think that they would get away with this. And to be perfectly honest, I'm a little insulted that someone would attempt to say this, presumably to my face, because he's speaking to the camera, right? He's speaking to us. He's basically saying this to my face, right? And expecting me to just take it wholesale, right? I don't I take that as a personal. I take that as an assault on my personal intelligence. To be perfectly honest.
After we nuked Japan, did we go in and rape all their wives and daughters?
Yeah, again, all of those cases that are sometimes pointed to by Japanese nationals, guess what? That wasn't an organized effort. Those were rogue individuals who did that on their own accord. That was not at all part of the plan. That was not at all the intention. That was not what most of the soldiers did, right? So, yeah, and that was back then. We have significantly more concerns about like how you conduct yourself on a professional and moral level in war nowadays than we did back in World War II. So again, absolutely miss me with this bullshit.
Like, it's unbelievable that we need to live like this, all right? It's crazy. All right, so this guy, quite literally a foreign propagandist. I've been calling it out for a long time, and people are catching up to me. Oh my God, this is going to be some of the most insane plot twists you're ever going to see. It's shocking this isn't a movie.
So, long story short, yeah, I stopped listening to Tucker Carlson years ago because I remember when he started shilling for, like, again, the Islamists, or let's not say Islamists, Muslims. Right? When he started shilling for Islam, and when he started saying, oh yeah, maybe socialism isn't that bad compared to boomerism, right? I'm like, both of these takes are retarded and you know better. And I remember a family member of mine calling me one time. I was like, do you know what's going on with this guy? Or, like, why is he doing this? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure he got paid off. Like, that's I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure someone offered him a lot of money and he took it. And I think that would explain some of the more bizarre behavior he's had, especially in recent time, personally. But yeah, so I do think that there was a time when he was genuinely earnest, but I think someone offered him a lot of money and he took it. That being said, I don't. While it's disappointing, that would happen to a lot more people than would like to admit it. Even people who know better, right? So the whole thing, it's like, well, it's easy to say from our perspective that it's never happened to us that we would be able to turn away, a temptation, right? But oftentimes that ends up not being the case for a lot of people because, they've never actually had that temptation before. And then, it turns out they were kind of surprised that, turns out they didn't exactly have the strength of will they assumed. They could make that assumption because that temptation was never going to come from them. And then when it finally does, it's like, oh, okay. Bit of a moral failing, right? But, yeah. No, I do agree with Nux here. I think, I generally think Qatarlson is a bad actor. I don't trust the guy at all anymore. But yeah. This was definitely one of those things I didn't see coming. Again, I saw Candace Owens coming from a mile away. I saw Nick Fuentes coming a mile away. I was like, yes, Nico's an inauthentic person. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, back in the day, I would not have guessed that Tucker Carlson would have been one of those people to fucking turncoat, to be perfectly honest.
Everyone can feel that. That's like the most atavistic
No one fucking feels that. I wouldn't have even considered it if you didn't mention it.
instinct there is. And so to avoid that, people will do anything.
People will do anything. Then why are the Iranian people asking us to come and liberate them if they think that we're going to go and rape their daughters and wives? Do the Iranians just have is that the most searched content on Pornhub from the Iranians? Is it just the fucking cuck? It's like the cuckold and NTR section? Is that their choice of hentai? Like, what the fuck is going on here, Mr. Carlson? Like, oh my god. Okay, yeah, this is frustrating me. This man, oh my god. This man is really morally grandstanding to defend a regime that was killing protesters in the tens of thousands, and that's why they turned the fucking internet off. Because Trump said that if they kept killing protesters, that they would face consequences. So they turned the internet off. It's a regime that literally has its jurisprudential body of work, which I have a video of an Iranian talking about, and it's on my channel, where an Iranian is condemning the regime that he is forced to live under because the supreme judge of the country ruled that it is permissible to prostitute infants. What the fuck are we doing here? right? It's like no one wants to live like, no one in Iran wants to live like this. Everyone is sick and tired of the fucking like Islamic regime. Only like 40% of Iran is even Muslim anymore, and it's very quickly declining from what we can tell. So it's like, what the fuck are we doing here?
And so that's why it requires that level of force to get a population subdued.
We're not trying to subdue the population. We're trying to destroy the regime so that the population could take their country back from an Islamic oppressor. It's almost like you don't want that to happen.
I mean, I don't think he does want it to happen. But that being said, Nux didn't call this out, but he's doing an equivocation fallacy here. He is equivocating the regime with the people, even though he damn well knows that the people have been protesting the regime and the people have been begging for help from America. So he damn well knows that, again, the people and the regime are two different things and that they are at odds with each other. So this equivocation is a monstrous attempt at obfuscating what is really going on here.
Point of unconditional surrender. That's why. And so in this case, of course, we don't have the ground force necessary. I don't think Americans would voluntarily participate in it. I just don't think we can do that.
Well, we're not on the ground. There are no boots on the ground. And I don't support boots on the ground.
Would require.
Agreed, but I'm also pretty sure that we're seeing a increase in military service under Trump as well. Just like we're seeing an increase in what would you call it? Recruitment for Border Patrol and recruitment for, customs enforcement. Immigration Custom Enforcement. That's what it was. I was trying to remember what the acronym for ICE stood for. So it's like, again, yeah, I don't think anyone wants to see boots on the ground, but it doesn't seem the American people are all that sorry, I'm going on a tangent. Let's get back to the topic, right?
Air weapons of mass destruction. It would
and there we go. Pushing the narrative again. Trump's going to use a nuke.
require presumably nuclear weapons.
There it is. Trump wants to nuke Iran to rape their wives. This is what he's been saying, and this is on multiple shows with multiple guests. He's pushing the same shit again and again and again. Why does this guy love the Iranian regime so much? The dictatorship that's been slaughtering their own people and our people. All right, so Tucker Carlson releases this very bizarre video yesterday. This is one of the most shocking videos I think I've ever seen in my life. When you discovered the CIA has been reading your texts in order to frame you for a crime. This is a video he released yesterday. And he looks unbelievably uncomfortable for the whole video. This is one of the most shocking videos I think I've ever seen in my life. I'm shocked this is even real, but it's unbelievable.
I hate that I live in a timeline. Where I fucking have to defend the Fed at times, to be perfectly honest. Because the Fed is just objectively in the right in that given situation, right? Because I don't like the Feds. I fucking do not like the federal government. I don't even like the state government, to be perfectly honest. I don't even like the local government, to be perfectly fucking honest. So I'm in such a cartoonish situation where I'm having to defend the fucking federal government from the retards who cannot actually behave themselves. And, as well as from Gnostic wizards trying to cast hyper realities and enchant the people around them so that they don't live in reality. And, oh my God. What a world I live in, right?
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice.
Oh, shit.
On the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well,
all right, we'll see. All right, just understand, Tucker Carlson is trying to get ahead of this. All right, this entire video he's releasing he's trying to get ahead of whatever the Department of Justice is investigating, whatever the CIA is investigating. He's trying to get ahead of it with his video. He didn't need to make this video, but he is to get ahead of something. So understand, you're listening to his perspective.
Yeah, I would also like to point out again, if the Department of Justice and the CIA are working together, it's going to be an interesting case. That's all I'm going to say.
To people in Iran before the war. They read my texts.
Okay, so apparently you were speaking to people in Iran before the war, and there's no crime. You're allowed to speak to people in Iran. I'm not sure why this would be criminal.
The crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power.
You mean the thing that I've been calling him out for months? I am the most vindicated motherfucker in history. I called out Candace Owens a year before Candace Owens started saying the whole Charlie Kirk was killed by Sumerian time travelers, all right? I've been calling this guy, I've been getting so much shit for calling out Tucker Carlson. Dude, I am the most vindicated guy ever. This is unbelievable.
I will say I do appreciate the Nux vindication arc that we are seeing with some of this shit, to be perfectly honest. Are there reasons to dislike Nux as a person? Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I don't really care about a lot of those reasons, to be perfectly honest, but it's like, yeah, I think the T podcast, you know, Mama Oko, Misa Tamari, and all them, I think they have legitimate reasons to dislike Nux, but personally, I don't really give a shit. Yeah, fair. Guy may be a bit of a ladder puller, but that being said, you know, yeah, he's just a guy, right? He's just a guy who has a tendency to to fuck ups. But I do think in like these conversations, he's being totally earnest. Especially when he comes and he shows his receipts. I'm just saying, right? When you show your receipts, it definitely helps to claim that you're being earnest, right? And yeah, Nux being vindicated on these particular issues is absolutely wild, and I am definitely here for it. This is definitely like me getting the opportunity to be the chaos monger, right? I'm just here for the chaos at this point.
Like, I don't know how I deserve to be correct this often. But thank you,
and I don't expect this to go anywhere.
Right, all right, he doesn't expect it to
Now, why are you making the video?
go anywhere. I'm sure that the CIA is going to launch a public investigation that goes nowhere.
I mean, the CIA. Okay, so okay, I've had the pleasure of speaking to people who've worked with the CIA before, and let's just say that there's a lot of people in the military who don't really like the CIA because they get shit wrong all the fucking time, right? But yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's particularly the cooperation between the Department of Justice and the CIA that caught my eye with this one, to be perfectly honest. And yeah, the Foreign Agent Act, yeah, and I could see it. There's been a lot of suspicious activity, in my opinion, that definitely warrants that particular investigation. But I'm pretty sure Nux will talk about it later, given how he usually covers this shit.
I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a
You seem really shaken up, dude.
bunch of reasons. One,
I'd say he seems really stiff, right? He seems really tense, to be perfectly honest. Like, there's no rounding in his lips when he talks, right? It is very tight, his entire face, right? He is stressed the fuck out.
I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it.
And Russia. I mean, he literally did Russia propaganda for a long time. You know, he went to supermarkets in Russia to sniff the bread and talk about how free people are. All right, you know, like, let's be real here. He bought a house in Qatar. He shows up there all the time. I'll just be honest.
It's interesting.
I didn't know about the house in Qatar, though. I didn't know about the Russian bread store thing, actually. That's fucking wild. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
So the only interest I care about, because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids.
Sure, yeah.
So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money
Not concerned.
from anybody.
That's a lie. He was literally given $1.5 million after he was fired from Fox News by an Iranian billionaire to start up his solo show, which I don't know why he needs $1.5 million. I didn't get $1.5 million, and I'm out here making a living. Obviously, I'm not Tucker Carlson, but I'm making a living, a good living, you know, talking about shit to the world. I also have zero ties to foreign powers, zero funding from literally anywhere. I'm a one-man operation, basically. I hire an editor to help me with uploading because I do a lot of content, and I really appreciate the support, everybody. But this is insane. This is the craziest shit ever.
Don't need it, don't want it, and that's provable.
It's actually not provable because he did take $1.5 million at least $1.5 million from an Iranian billionaire.
I would say, yeah, that is an interesting thing to lie about in this particular situation, right? It's like, oh, I've never taken money from anyone. Like, my guy, if this is public knowledge, why would you lie about this? If this is a thing that you could like actually search up and find, that doesn't exactly. Usually in like a thing like this where you're trying to cover your ass, like the goal is to like come clean. That way it's especially if you're innocent, right? To not admit to any crime, obviously, right? Because like, let's be fair, the police are the investigators are not your friend, right? They're there to find something to pin you on, right? But oftentimes, you know, coming clean about things helps at least the image of what's going on here. So it's like hiding this is not exactly a good look from my perspective.
And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening.
All right, no one's going to arrest you for talking to Iranians. It's the context and content of what you were talking to them about.
Around the world. That's literally what I do for a living. And I'm not going to stop doing that.
Okay.
Nor should I.
Unless
I don't
you're in
think.
jail.
I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody. I have no...
Not if you're divulging classified information, for example. I'm not saying that you are, but I'm just saying if you were, it would be pretty weird.
It is interesting because, again, I don't think they would bring up the Foreign Agent Act if you were just talking to someone, right? Well, to be perfectly honest, I suspect that there is something more than just talking to someone in this. If they are investigating him, that there's some reason that they genuinely might think they might need to investigate him for. I'm not saying he did anything, obviously. I don't know. I'm not part of the investigation. I would like to see what's going on, but I understand that the investigation has to take place first. But yeah, I highly doubt that if they're like trying to pin him on something, that it's just because he's talking to someone as a news reporter. Highly fucking doubt it, right? Because then why didn't they do this to other people? Just saying. Like, there's other people with like huge Trump derangement syndrome, huge anti-Iran conflict situation, derangement syndrome. Why'd they go after this guy in particular, right? And it seems interesting that it's one person in particular that seems to be the target.
Secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it'll even become a case.
It's not a case yet. You're trying to get ahead of it, obviously. You are scared enough to get ahead of it.
I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons,
All right, let's go.
And they're pretty obvious.
All right.
One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just...
We have Tucker Carlson calling Trump authoritarian. He is literally reaching into the leftist bag of tricks. This is the most unbelievable shit ever.
The nature of war. People are...
Yeah, this is definitely a bizarre statement. It's like, again, it's not just the war thing, right? I mean, to be fair, we're being flooded by illegals who have to be deported en masse because it's completely unfucking sustainable. Just, right? We have leftists going out and getting themselves killed by actively interfering with police officers and like using deadly force, which then requires the law enforcement per se to actually use lethal force to protect themselves. You have local law enforcement not cooperating with the enforcement of federal laws, specifically about immigration. You have, again, now you have the issue of like mujahideen cells being activated, which we all knew, which anyone who was paying attention knew was going to happen because of the conflict, but it was unavoidable. This conflict was going to happen anyway. Such as that fucking mujahideen who used the leftists as a literal springboard to try to throw a bomb that thankfully didn't work. What are we doing here? It's not the war that's gonna like bring the boot down, to be perfectly honest. It's the fucking savages we have to live with on the home front that's gonna make it. It's gonna end up causing everything to go to pot, right?
Dying. The stakes are high.
Right.
People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any
traitors. Much less tolerance for traitors committing treason, maybe?
Kind of dissent in the homeland.
Dissent.
He's acting like he thinks the fucking Trump is gonna pull an Abraham Lincoln and like suspend habeas corpus. What the fuck are we on about? Right? This is ridiculous. Like, oh my god. Like, the more I'm listening to this guy, the more I actively feel like he thinks that we are actually fucking idiots, to be perfectly honest. Now, to be fair, there are a great deal of apparently useful idiots who genuinely think that a lot of these ploys that are going on in the United States are actually, like, good, true, and real ideas. But, you know... Again, just look at how Minnesota resisted ICE, for example, when they were, again, catching real dangerous people, right? But, yeah. Or, again, the fucking... oh, my God. I'm thinking a lot about Minnesota, because I got, like... Because I mentioned ICE, and my brain is now tunnel visioning on, like, all the bullshit that happened in Minnesota. Literacy like banana and rice, right?
You think they're going to start off a criminal case against you because you criticize Trump on your podcast every day? Are you serious?
The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country.
Yeah, there's way less freedom that we're killing terrorists that have been trying to kill us for years. Totally.
During
that's a correlation does not equal causation moment. The reason we have less freedom in the United States is not because of the wars, it's because of the fucking Hegelians that are actually incentivized to take away our liberties here. Think of the Democrats, right? Think of the rhinos, right? Think of the fucking neoconservatives, right? The neocons that have been waging endless, like, forever wars that they had no intention of winning because it was more of a money laundering situation they could use to export their ideology that doesn't work in other places, right? Like, again, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, it's not the wars that caused the collapse of freedom in the United States, because war is sometimes just inevitable. Rather, it is the ideologies of the people in power that require you to be subjugated, which caused us to lose our freedoms here. We're literally going over there to depose a regime, again, that I cannot help but notice, like, again, like, legalized wife beating, that legalized child marriage, that legalized the prostitution of infants, that, again, like, legalized rape in prison by the guards. What the fuck are we on about here? Like, again, you could be beaten for criticizing the Iranian regime. No one is being beaten for criticizing the Trump regime. This is an absolute fucking apples to oranges comparison.
War. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too. Another point to make that is worth knowing is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans. Oh. Now, you probably knew that, and it's been revealed a lot, including by Julian Assange and Ed Snowden, both of whom were threatened with death for revealing it, but everyone knows.
Pretty sure Snowden was the NSA.
You mean to tell me that?
Oh, wait, I see. Intelligence community. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but that's because the United States is part of the Five Eyes. The Five Eyes spy on literally fucking everyone, to be perfectly honest, right? Like, literally the Five Eyes spy on themselves and everyone else. So it's like, again, what the fuck are we doing here? I don't think we should be part of the Five Eyes either, but, you know, it is what it is. So it's like, again, if they're spying on everyone, why are they going after only you? Why are you the focus of the conversation? Again, I hate the fact that I have to fucking, like, defend these people, because I genuinely don't like these people. But again, like, why are you the focus of the situation?
That the Secret Service actually spies on us? Is it to investigate if we're actually committing treason? Oh my goodness. This is one of the most shocking things I've ever heard in my entire life.
But it's
I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your mind in a minute.
Probably a little more widespread than most people understand.
I mean, you literally are running propaganda for our political enemy that we are at war with. I feel like you are a pretty decent target to investigate, just in general. You have been running counter propaganda for Islamic terrorists for a year, at least. All right? like you are one of the guys to investigate. But don't worry, it gets worse. It gets so much worse.
Yeah, I remember fucking Tucker Carlson being like, oh yeah, but Islam just means submission. And I can't think of anything better than submission to God. It's like, listen here, you fucking, oh my God. It's like, listen here, you absolute, like, mongoloid. What the no. Submission to God, yeah, sure, is good, but submission to a false god, that is awful. That is absolutely monstrous, right? It's just, I don't know how to explain that. It's like, oh yeah, but it's just about submission to God. No, it's about submission to a false god from a false prophet who didn't exactly take no for an answer. You either submitted by by taking the shahada and therefore being subject to the laws of Islam, you know, halal, or you had to, like, again, suffer abuse as a dhimmi, to be abused as a second, third, or fourth class citizen. What the fuck are we doing here? What is it that Aisha said? I had never seen a woman treated so poorly as under Islam. I'm definitely interested to see where this investigation goes, to be perfectly honest. I have a sneaking suspicion Nux is probably right.
For him, it gets better for me.
And it's outrageous. There's no justification for your government, which you own, you're a shareholder in it, you pay for it,
Right.
to be
I want to see something. I want to see something. Give me a moment.
for your government, which
You are one of the guys to investigate. But don't worry, it gets worse. It gets so much worse. For him, it gets better for me.
and it's outrageous. There's no justification for your government.
That's interesting. So when he says this is outrageous, I'm not an expert in this stuff, but you know, I do talk to people who do this, so this just caught my eye. He says, when this is outrageous, he shakes his head no, and then when he said there's no reason, he shakes his head yes. So there's an incongruency in what he's saying here.
There's no.
Okay, let's go back 5 seconds.
For him, it gets better for me.
And it's outrageous.
Right there, he shakes his head no about it being outrageous, and then look when he says there's no reason.
There's no justification for your government.
He gives a nod there, so it's like, again, that's closer to like an affirmative statement. So interesting. Again, I would love to see body language goes, because I'm not a body language expert, right? But it is something that like just caught my eye. So I'm curious as to what their opinion is on this.
Government, which you own, you're a shareholder in it, you pay for it,
Right.
to be violating your privacy like this. But it
Have you considered that maybe they didn't look at your texts, Tucker? Are you considering that maybe they looked at the texts of Iranian?
That is actually a good point. We are already beginning with a potential false statement in the first place. At no point did we ever actually get any indication. Like, obviously, all we have to go on is what Carlson is telling us himself. But it is also, as Nux said, entirely possible that the only reason they're looking at him is because of what his contacts have said. Because it's not just like, because it's interesting that the CIA, actually thinking about it, would be the one to be investigating him, because it is, I mean, to be fair, the CIA and the I'm pretty sure, given the leeway that they have been historically given, they do stupid shit too. But it is the purview of the CIA to gather foreign intelligence, whereas it is the purview of the FBI to gather intelligence within the nation. Same thing with the NSA, right? So why is it that it's the CIA and the DOJ cooperating with each other? Because if this was a thing that was involving entirely like United States based communication, right? So it's like entirely like, let's say they tapped into your phone, right? Why wouldn't that be the NSA? Because the NSA is the one that's commonly associated with, for example, tapping phones. And why wouldn't it be the FBI if this is all domestic bullshittery, right? Why is it the CIA? Not like the FBI hasn't been involved in its own conspiracies before, like the CIA, right? And it's not like the NSA isn't exactly famous for being involved in a legit conspiracy like the CIA has on a number of occasions been, right? So why is it the DOJ and the CIA are the two organizations that are working together? That actually brings it's got my brain noodling, but I don't have I got nothing but brain noodling right now. So it's like, interesting. The hamster wheel is turning, right? The almonds are activating.
terrorists and found you in there? Perhaps. I'm just saying. You really think that the CIA before we started a war didn't do their absolute utmost to investigate who we're fighting with? Perhaps. I'm just suggesting. I'm just laying it out there. Maybe they found it weird. Maybe. Question mark.
I hate that fucking meme of question mark, but it's more of the jurisdiction there that's catching my eye, because like the FBI and the CIA have wildly different jurisdictions. So it's like interesting. Why is it the CIA that's involved?
It happens all the time, and in fact, one of the
let's not forget, this guy literally gave a softball interview to the Iranian president. Not exaggerating. He really did that.
reasons that CIA or people within CIA, just to be clear, it's a huge, sprawling, disconnected agency.
Of course, disconnected.
What it does in a specific
No one knows what they're doing.
case doesn't represent what everybody in the building thinks, but there are some people who are mad at me for my views about Israel.
Oh.
So we're really gonna blame the Jews, TM, eh? We're really gonna blame. Oh my God! At this point, with the Jews running everything in the world without actually causing a war to do it, at this point, we're just gonna have to admit the Jews are the Ubermensch. That's fucking ridiculous. That's one of the reasons I don't actually believe this whole fucking collectivist nonsense. Is because like I don't believe the Jews are the Ubermensch. Man, this theory would kind of require me to believe that they are. So it's like. And plus, as I pointed out before, dispensationalists actually like believe in a lot of the same thing that Jewish apocalypticists do anyway, right? In fact, Shameless Popery has made a video about dispensationalist apocalypticists and the danger that they pose in the United States government, right? Because they both want to bring about the end of the world, and they both have very similar ideas about how to do it, even though they have very different ideas about what the end of the world is going to be. So they are just incentivized to cooperate with each other because they actually have a shared end goal. They have an interest in, concretizing. So it's like, oh my God. We're in that thing where it's like people think that they read, but they really don't.
Oh, it's just a gruntled CIA agent. He's all gruntled and unhappy because Tucker Carlson criticized Israel. And that's why they found out that you are literally chummy with Islamic terrorists in Iran that we're at war with? Like, excuse me?
And they have some latitude. And one of the reasons they pass on criminal complaints, in effect, to law enforcement is to justify warrants for spying on Americans. So that is an absolutely real thing. But the main reason they do it is to leak the existence of the investigation.
I thought you just said that they're making believe that they don't read your texts. So they make believe they don't read your texts at all, but then they do read your texts, and then they leak that they read your texts to scare you, while making believe they don't read their text. Are we being serious? Like, even for a second?
Okay, I gotta give it to Nux for catching that, because I was gonna point that out, but he pointed it out more succinctly than I would have been able to, because it's like, yeah, I'm gonna give Nux just the W on that one, because it's like, that is a good catch on like contradictions that is just, that just can't be squared, right?
As it is, to the media, and then humiliate and terrify the subjects of this op. And that's, of course, happened to me repeatedly. Many times.
He's used it. He's never talked about it before, but now he is. Including
in famously 2021, when I was still at Fox News and trying to set up an interview with Vladimir Putin, and the NSA, I heard from someone there, had grabbed my text messages with an American citizen.
Interesting.
And had leaked them to news outlets. Those texts were basically my attempts to set up an interview with the foreign head of state.
Yeah, basically. For the record, those texts were him saying that he's really happy Trump is not becoming president. These are the actual texts.
I was gonna say it is, it does make sense, even just again considering how fucking hypersensitive the intelligence agencies can be, that if you were going to meet a foreign head of state, that they were probably going to have you under higher surveillance in the first place. So that alone, it's just the way things work with this, right? So, but let's see what the actual text messages are.
We're very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. Trump is a demonic force, a destroyer, but he's not going to destroy us. I've been thinking about this every day for 4 years.
Trump's a demonic force, eh? Oh my God. Trump derangement syndrome.
That's the last 4 years. We're all pretending we've got a lot to show for it because admitting what a disaster it's been is too tough to digest. But come on, there isn't really an upside to Trump.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so those are,
We are very
actual real texts that were leaked. All right, so just to understand what we're dealing with, and this guy makes believe he's Trump's bestie. All right, just to understand, just to kind of get an understanding of what's going on. Anyway,
And they leaked them to the New York Times in order to stop the interview, which they successfully did, by the way. And they admitted that they were spying. I mean, this is not a fantasy. It actually happened. They did it again 2 years later.
you know, because they were worried that you were literally allying with an adversary, like being besties with Vladimir Putin. like, can you think of other reasons why maybe the Secret Service would want to look into this?
Yeah, those that correspondence doesn't exactly look good, right? That doesn't exactly seem like the kind of conversation you'd have with someone that you're setting up an objective interview with, right? Because if you're going to do an objective interview with someone, presumably you would want to maintain some degree of distance, you know, professional distance with the person that you're interviewing with, right? Yeah, that didn't particularly look good to me either.
Like, I'm just being honest here. I don't like the idea that the government spies on us either. But, like, you're like, I know the government spies on me. It literally spied on me when I was friends with Vladimir Putin. Like, the enemy.
Yeah, I think Nux has a point. That is a bit of a substantial difference there. It's like, again, as I pointed out earlier, it's like if you're meeting with like foreign powers in the first place, it does kind of make sense that like that's not the same thing as a regular person, right? That you could come up with a different argument for example, monitoring someone in that particular position because it's a position that is more vulnerable to being subverted, for example, by, temptation than, for example, your average Joe, right? I mean, you shouldn't be spying on everyone in the first place, right? But that being said, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna make an argument for spying on people for foreign correspondences, I mean, this would kind of be one of those examples, right? It's like, oh yeah, someone could potentially, like, again, tempt someone with, favors, whether that be money or something else. So yeah, it does make sense that like someone who is doing foreign correspondences might actually have a higher degree of like attention on them. But again, you're not the only one who does this. So why is it you who seems to be targeted and not other people? It almost seems like there might be some objective difference with what's going on in your situation than what might necessarily be going on with other reporters. And I don't know if that's true or if I'm just like reading into the situation where I shouldn't be, but that's just my initial thoughts.
My second attempt to get a Putin interview, I managed to get it anyway, and they've done it since.
All right.
And so when you get a call from a reporter who knows the contents of your texts, it's pretty clear something's going on. None of this, in my judgment, as of right now, is a huge threat to me, so I'm not making this video to complain about it.
I don't believe that at all. Again, this is not the kind of... again, just your face tells me that I don't... your face tells me that you're lying out your ass right there, because you seem very stressed, to be perfectly honest. But, that's just me. I don't believe that statement for a fucking second.
Whine or ask.
He's not worried at all, which is why he mentioned like 6 times in this video that he's not worried.
Just send me money because I'm under attack. I'm saying it because it's true, and you should know what your own government is doing, and you should know what the stakes are.
Yeah, when you are chummy and besties with our adversaries, quite literally that we're at war with, the government might investigate you. It turns out. No, that's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that, but now that you mention it, that's pretty weird.
And you should know that a lot of what happens in this country that affects outcomes happens behind the scenes. Some of it is legal, some of it is not, including what I'm describing now. But
I mean, unless you're committing treason, in which case it's not only legal, it's very, very good that the government investigated you, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there's the whole presumption of innocence thing, right? But at the same time, it's like we haven't established whether or not we haven't established whether or not the investigators themselves have done anything wrong. And again, aren't they also subject to the whole presumption of innocence thing, right? We're not going to accuse people of committing a crime That's why you let this particular process unfold, because hell, maybe they have a damn good reason to investigate this guy. Maybe they don't, but it's one of those in due time we shall tell kind of deals.
As an effect, and the intel agencies, again, not everyone in the intel agencies, because there are decent, hardworking Americans who work in the intel agencies are Americans, just like there are decent, hardworking Americans who work at the DMV.
Right.
But there are also people with agendas and grudges and no sense of restraint.
Israel. They don't like that he criticized Israel.
Right? Who are happy to misuse the power they have, granted them by our elaborate secrecy laws, to hurt fellow Americans for ideological reasons.
I do think, again, it is interesting to point out the whole, again, it's like the Israel thing, because yeah, it couldn't possibly be that, like, you're, again, demoralizing the issue with, again, dealing with a Islamic extremist organization, the state of Iran, that, again, we know quite well what they were doing. Again, refer to my 5-hour video on this particular subject. I talk about the geopolitics in there, right? So what the fuck are we doing here, right? Like, do you have a particular reason to think it's Israel versus, for example, you potentially frustrating the issue, you frustrating the conflict in Iran? I don't know if that is the case, but, that's another thing that I could potentially come up with, is like, maybe that's the thing that triggered this investigation. Could be the money you got from the Qataris. I mean, like, that might be related to something. Maybe some of that was money laundered. That is a thing that Islamic countries do, is they're very good at money laundering. So maybe some of that money that you got maybe went through money laundering. That doesn't mean you did anything per se, but that would explain why maybe your texts got caught. That maybe explain why your name popped up in something. In that case, you didn't do anything wrong, but maybe the person that's being investigated did, and so you're being investigated to potentially clear you of what's going on. That's also entirely possible. I don't fucking know. And this is not, this whole thing has not helped me come to a better understanding of what the fuck is going on, to be perfectly honest.
Right.
That is entirely real. That's the story of Russiagate. And it's likely that things like that will begin to happen at greater scale now.
Did he?
So you should just know that.
At greater scale, but only to him, not to anybody else. Just to him.
Okay, so it took Nux a little while to figure out the thing that I figured out earlier, which was, again, this is only happening to you. Why is it only happening to you? That doesn't make any sense, right? If we were targeting an entire class of people, let's say journalists, right? Why is it only you who's getting potentially hit by this hammer? Or maybe it's not only him, but he's the only one who found out about it, right? He's the only one who's got intel on the inside. Really, right?
Just to Tucker Carlson, he might be a
Going
victim.
forward. Thanks.
Right, so he made this PSA, all right? He made this public service announcement that you might start getting your text read by the government. Who's our enemy?
The government was already, like, fishnet dragging texts. The NSA had this, like, culture where they would just, like, whenever they got dick pics, they would make fun of the people who got the dick pic, who, like, sent them. Like, that was an actual thing that was going on in the NSA. I was like, yeah, no, the NSA didn't. There was a lot of people the NSA couldn't catch, because it turns out, like, the dragnet version of, like, again, surveillance is actually extremely inefficient. But yeah, yeah, just having listened to this, it doesn't sound too good to me personally. But again, I could be wrong. It could be just like my initial assumption could also just be completely off.
Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Now, I want to give you some background here, because this is some of the most crazy. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Remember, I asked you the question: how is it that we had such information that all the people were that?
That's an interesting. That's an interesting, like, comment below right there. It's like, at 9 bands, Tucker's show has become him just saying CIA or Israel and looking at the camera like. I mean, fair. I mean, it's not wrong.
That we bombed all the Ayatollah leaders and all their commanders and all their guys got together.
I mean, we sent them straight to their god. They got nothing to complain about, right? I'm just saying.
public area, all right, and publicly, not underground, not hidden, not in different areas, not in separate bunkers, but just in the parliament, literally while they were surrounded by our entire Navy, all right? We had aircraft carriers, jets, Israeli jets, all right, unbelievable intelligence surrounding Iran. The war could have started any moment, to the point that I even predicted it, to the day, the time the war was going to start, and I was right, okay? So...
All right, Nux is a Mossad agent confirmed. I'm kidding. How do you know the day, right?
If me, blue retard on the internet, was right about it, you didn't think that the Ayatollahs maybe wouldn't do their meeting in public at that point? Like, you'd think that they would hide a little bit better? Why would they go and do that, knowing that they were surrounded and the war could start any minute? Well, what if? What if, question mark? They were lulled into a false sense of security by a secret agent of theirs. I'm just saying, this is a conspiracy theory, but I feel like if this one's justified later, you could call me Nuxtradamus, okay? This is insane. So, if this one...
Okay, I'm going to rewind it just so I can read the full tweet. Okay. So, unofficial Qatari ambassador to the USA, Tucker Carlson, has his second meeting with Trump at the White House today. Interesting. Interesting if true.
What if, question mark? They were lulled into a false sense of security by a secret agent of theirs. I'm just saying, this is a conspiracy theory, but I feel like if this one's justified later, you could call me Nuxtradamus, okay? This is insane. So Tucker Carlson was super chummy with President Trump. This is a photo taken January 16th, okay? So this happened, like, literally a month before the war, all right? A month before the war, Tucker Carlson was invited, and he was criticizing Trump every single day, all right? He had leaked text messages saying that, I'm so glad that the nightmare of Trump is over in 2021, all right? So this guy, longstanding hater of Trump, everyone knew that he hated Trump publicly, I knew it, and everyone that knew things knew that he hated Trump, even though he endorsed Trump, sort of, for 2024, all right? He still hated Trump. He had those leaked text messages come out, and he criticized Trump basically every single day because he's pro-Iran, pro-Russia. All right, a lot of people were really scared that this dude is going out there actually meeting up with Trump. Why is Trump meeting him? So Trump meets him, Rubio meets him, everyone's chummy with him, they're having a great time. Trump is a peaceful guy. They even asked Trump, hey, it's so weird. Tucker Carlson's been criticizing you every single day on his show. Every single day on his show, he's criticizing you. He's saying that you're tied up with Epstein. He's saying that Israel controls you and the Jews are in charge and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, considering we found out, especially with the Epstein files that have been published, that Trump was almost certainly the whistleblower on Epstein. Anyone who tells me that Trump was actually involved with Epstein in any nefarious way, I at that point I just fucking tune him out, because it's if that was the case, Epstein would have blackmail material on Trump, and Trump would not be the whistleblower because that would blow up in his face. That's the whole point of a blackmail ring. People just do not understand this very basic premise, right?
Like that. All right, so why is it that you were so friendly with him in the Oval Office? And this is what Trump had to say.
Tucker Carlson and Senator Ted Cruz interview, it seems like this issue on whether or not the United States should strike is kind of dividing a lot of your supporters.
No, my supporters are for me.
For the record, he's correct. 94% of MAGA supports Trump's war with Iran. 94%. All right. So everyone's saying that the base is falling apart. They're wrong. They're falling for the PSYOP. They're falling for the Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, and I'll give you a criticism right now. I think he's not actually going hard enough on the immigration issue, for example, right? There's my take. There's my fucking hot take, right? Then, yeah. That being said, outside of the joke, right? Outside of the joke statement, right? I mean, I agree with what I just said. I wasn't lying about that. But that being said, if I did have a criticism to make of Trump, my criticism would be, I do think Trump is a bit of a right Hegelian, and I don't like Hegelians in the first place, right? So it's one of those things where it's at the moment it's beneficial, but I also could very well see Trump potentially doing something that is oh, well, that's not going to help us in the long run. Yeah, it's I don't like foreign wars. I don't even really think that this is basically a foreign war. This is us just mollywopping a foreign regime, and I don't even usually like that. But I'm look, man, we got to get rid of this Iranian regime. We got to get the Iranian people back in power. That way we can fucking stop caring about this shit. It's that simple, right? If people are trying to get nukes to cause the end of the world over on the other side of the planet, and they're actually acting to do that thing, you don't exactly have an option to ignore them until the bombs go, right? The non-aggression principle does not mean that you like have to let someone punch you in the face first, right? Oh my God.
My supporters are America first. They make America great again.
Now yeah, that's the thing I was thinking about. Sorry, I kind of lost. I got distracted. But yeah, no, I definitely support. I definitely support him in this particular endeavor, right? It's just, I think this is definitely, again, I even titled my video on the Iran situation, just Khamenei binted his last, total Trump W, right?
My supporters don't want to see Iran have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
Tucker's a nice guy. He called and apologized the other day. Because he thought he said things that were a little bit too strong.
Right. In public, he'll bash Trump every step of the way, and privately, he'll suck his balls.
And I appreciated that. And Ted Cruz is a nice guy. I mean, he's been with me for a long time. I'd say once the race was over, he's been with me ever since, right? But very simple. If they think that it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon, then they should oppose me. But nobody thinks it's okay. People that don't want...
Unless you're an agent of Iran.
I don't want to fight either. I'm not looking to fight.
Or unless you're retarded. Let's not get it twisted. Just like how in Iran, like the leftists were instrumental for the IRGC to actually take power, and then the IRGC just fucking murdered all the leftists. Let's not be foolish here. The leftists are absolutely trying to use the Muslims to get their own power, and when the leftist comes to their zenith of power, you know, their own cultural revolution, Islam will bint its last in the United States because they will basically become China. And you can already see what happened to Islam in China. I'm just saying, this peace between the red and the green is not going to last. And it doesn't matter who gets power. The other one is getting screwed. But yeah, so it's like you're either a communist or a agent of Iran, or you just don't know what's going on, to be perfectly honest. And there is a large contingent of just don't know what's going on, which is fair, because why should most people know what's going on in Iran until something actually happens, right? I'm just saying.
But if it's a choice between fighting and them having a nuclear weapon, you have to do what you have to do. Maybe we won't have to fight. Don't forget, we haven't been fighting.
Right.
We had a certain amount of genius.
Anyway, we had to fight. They said they had enough uranium to build 11 nukes, and we obliterated them.
Everything, but we haven't been fighting.
Honestly, that is the appropriate response. Like, if they're telling you we're making a nuke so we can cause nuclear war, yeah, that's a good enough reason in my book to just go and like obliterate the nuclear facilities.
Fighting at all. Israel's done a very good job of that. Yeah. But we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
The bottom line is they can't have nuclear. And if I can't imagine that Ted Cruz said it's okay for Iran to have nuclear, including Tucker. I don't think Tucker says it's okay. The problem is then they get themselves into a thing. They don't want them to have nuclear, but then they say, well, we don't want to fight. Well, you're going to have to make a choice, because it's possible that you're going to have to fight for them not to have nuclear. And it's interesting, because I did ask Tucker, I said, well, are you okay with nuclear weapons being in the hands of Iran? And he sort of didn't like that. He didn't want to really, but he sort of...
No, he didn't want to answer.
I wonder why he didn't want to answer, but no, Trump is absolutely correct on this. And again, I have a 5-hour essay. I have a 5-hour multi-video sub-commentary video explaining why Trump is absolutely, well, that wasn't the purpose of that video, but basically explaining why Trump is absolutely fucking right on this issue, right? This is one of those issues where it's like, no, this is a time bomb waiting to happen kind of deal. You're not going to negotiate your way out of this one, because the praxeological math just does not work the same way as it does when you're, for example, talking to a Soviet, or talking to an Italian fascist, or talking to a let's say like a Japanese ultra nationalist from the Second World War. The math is just not the same, right? The fundamental values between the 12-verist regime and the other regimes that you might be thinking of are just so radically different that unless you actually sit down and try to think about what it is they believe and why they believe it, you're not going to be able to understand the thing that they're doing and why they're doing those things. But once you actually just sit there and think, okay, these are the things they believe, how would you actually act? And it's like, okay, yeah, this shows that the math doesn't fucking work.
He really, even in private, Tucker Carlson didn't want to answer if he minded if Iran, the biggest sponsor of terrorism in the world, not exaggerating, not hyperbole, literally, if they would have nuclear weapons.
Yeah, he didn't want to answer that because there was no way for him to actually like navigate that question without actually undermining himself. If he is an agent of Iran, because if he is an agent, let's say for example that's what he's being investigated on, and he says no, well, his money flow might be interrupted. That being said, if he's not an agent of Iran and he says no, he doesn't like the idea of Iran getting nuclear weapons, well, he's already given Trump what he needs in order to justify going to act against Iran. Because, well, it turns out, again, if that's unacceptable and it's still going on, well, you could try different avenues, but economic pressure is not going to stop them from doing the thing. They drove themselves into hyperinflation because, again, they don't care about this world. They're trying to eminentize the next world onto this world. And that means, again, no debt you incur is ever going to actually move the needle away from that goal because, again, this world means nothing. It doesn't mean anything to you. You're trying to maximize the coming of the, to eminentize the coming of the next world. So why would you care about debt in this world if all your debt is going to be redeemed, is going to be forgiven in the next world? That's not a hard concept to understand.
All right. He did, even in private, he didn't want to answer.
I didn't like that. And I said, well, if it's okay with you, then you and I do have a difference. But it's really not okay with him. Therefore, you may have to fight. And maybe it'll end, and maybe it'll end very quickly. But there's no way that you can allow, whether you have to fight or not, you can allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon because the entire world will blow up. I'm not going to let that happen.
Yeah, you don't want to give nuclear weapons to an apocalyptic death cult that quite literally doesn't mind if they blow themselves up if it means they can kill you too. Yeah, no, actually, it's a pretty reasonable position, I would say. So this is what Donald...
It would be kind of hard for me to argue against that, to be perfectly honest, because again, Trump and Nux are just fucking objectively correct in this particular situation. Like, what the fuck is the actual argument against this? It's like, oh yeah, you're dealing with an apocalyptic death cult that actually believes that, again, you should love death more than you love life. It's like, again, the next world is more important than this world, so then what does it matter if you, again, accrue death and, like, suffering in this world if it's all going to be made up in the next, right? Just, again, the calculus does not function the same way it did in previous conflicts because, again, we're not dealing with the same ideologies as in previous conflicts. This is a fundamentally different ideology we're dealing with. One that actually doesn't mind eminentizing the eschaton in the sense of, like, the actual end of the fucking world, right? Anyway, so, yeah, I can tell you right now, Tucker Carlson didn't exactly like that question because it exposes the contradiction in his worldview. I don't want them to have nukes because they'd be dangerous with nukes, but at the same time, I don't want us to do anything about it. I hate to tell you this, but that math doesn't actually work in reality.
Trump said, all right, so just understand, President Trump says Tucker Carlson and him made amends. They made amends. Trump is a peacemaker. We're lucky to have him. So Tucker Carlson blasts him constantly blasts him. Eventually, all of a sudden, Tucker Carlson's invited to meet him in person. That's so nice. That's lovely. A month before this war. All right. 2 days later, they ask him about it. It's like, hey, but, Tucker Carlson's blasting you all the time. Oh, he called privately. We made peace. Everything's nice and chummy. We're all wholesome and buddies. All right. In fact, this is Tucker Carlson. This is literally Tucker Carlson a couple years ago talking about Iran.
Tucker, aren't we the only country allowed to make preemptive strikes? Who the hell does Iran think it is?
Actually, I know
that is a funny joke. I'm not going to lie.
You're sort of kidding, but I agree with that. I think we are the only country
I'm not
with
kidding
moral
at all.
authority. Rather, we are. That's absolutely right. The only country with the moral authority sufficient to do that. The only country that doesn't seek hegemony in the world. I do think, I'm sure I'm the lone voice in saying this, I think Iran deserves to be annihilated. I think they're lunatics. I think they're evil.
This is what he said when he was back on Fox News before he started getting funding from Iranian billionaires.
Yeah, it is interesting how your incentives change when people are paying you to have new points of view, right? I do think that some of his stranger behavior is explained by this. Again, this potential discomfort for, again, being, saying things that he may not necessarily actually believe, but it's more beneficial for him to say these than to say what he actually believes. It actually kind of reminds me of, like, college students. Again, like, people who go in, they believe one thing, but they never actually had to defend what they believed, and they were just told to keep their head down, so then they go into college, and... the ideologically possessed professors tell them to just write from a particular point of view, so they end up doing that, and they end up constructing an enemy in their head that they can't exactly defeat because they never defended what they actually believed. They only defended what other people believed, and now they have no ability to defeat the enemy that they constructed in the back of their brain, right? Here, I think we have something similar, but not exactly the same. I think we have a case of this guy may not actually believe a lot of the stuff he says, but at the same time, he can't exactly back down because he's now in a position where if he, turns away from the people paying him, well, he destroys, he destroys his reputation and any ability to, work in this position that he's spent his entire life working, right? So I mean that's just my hypothesis there. I couldn't prove that, but that's my rat, right?
I do think we ought to assess what would happen to the price of energy were we to do that. I don't think that's a small factor. It could tank our economy.
Right, so he believes that they should be obliterated, they're evil, right? So that's what he used to think when he was on Fox News. And then he started criticizing Trump and being pro-Iran basically all of the time. All right, talking about how Trump's plan is to rape their wives and daughters. Trump decides to make amends with him. Trump is a peacemaker, in fact. He'll even say that they spoke on the phone, it was also nice. But
yeah, this is why, again, I said I'm very certain Tucker Carlson is being disingenuous and he's not actually retarded or crazy. I genuinely think the guy is just disingenuous.
Trump said about Tucker just recently, after this war started, Tucker has lost its way. This is on March 5th, after the war is in full swing. I knew that a long time ago. He's not MAGA. MAGA is saving our country. MAGA is making our country great again. MAGA is America first, and Tucker is none of those things. Tucker's really not smart enough to understand that. Bro hit him with a nuke after the actual war started. So before the war started, best friends. After the war started, this happens. As President Trump said 8 months ago, someone please explain to kooky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. This is one of the all-time great Trump posts. And then
give me one moment. Hold on. I want to see. Oh my God, there's so many frames in a single second, right? What is your frame rate, Nux? Oh my God. Hold on. I just want to read the tangential tweets. Here we go. Okay. This is one of those no new war people at the bottom. Oh well. Well, Trump did say no new wars, but then he backed off from that because it became increasingly obvious. It's like, hey, you can't really predict the future, right? You don't want there to be new wars, but sometimes you do have to sometimes you can't avoid the war. Again, I spent like I spent almost 5 hours talking about this in a previous video.
Not have a nuclear weapon. This is one of the all-time great Trump posts. And then, all of a sudden, Tucker Carlson is talking about how he was investigated by the CIA. So Tucker Carlson is trying to spin this and get ahead of the story here, but the real revelation is that, as many of us suspected, he has been acting as an agent of enemy foreign intel services without publicly disclosing, all while accusing his critics of representing foreign interests.
I didn't connect that dot, and I feel kind of dumb that I just didn't realize that he was shadow projecting on this. Oh my God. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my God. All of that was shadow projection. That was, oh my God. I cannot believe I missed that. That was so obvious. Oh my God. Maybe I'm dehydrated. There's no fucking way that I missed that. Holy shit. I need to drink a huge glass of water after this. Oh my God, I cannot believe I did not connect the dots on that. It's not just shadow possession. He may very well just be shadow possessed too. Oh my god, those are two very different things. Like shadow projection is where again you put something that you don't like about yourself onto someone else so that you can attack that thing you don't like about yourself without actually changing it in yourself, right? Shadow possession is different, where it's like you suppress that part of yourself you don't like into your subconscious, and since you never integrate it, and it ends up becoming a controlling part of your life because so much of your life is about avoiding that thing you don't like. So then the shadow ends up coming into control of your life through your suppression of it. Oh my god. Oh my god, this actually would explain a lot too. Oh my god, is he projecting and possessed by a shadow at the same fucking time? Oh my god. Fucking hell, mate. Okay, I think I have a new rat. And I think this explains more than what I thought earlier. Oh my god. Okay, never mind. Maybe it was simpler than I expected. Oh my god. Okay.
Interesting. I'll give you my theory in a minute. The CIA knew Tucker was speaking to the Iranian regime, which he admitted. He literally admitted in his video saying, oh, of course I talked to the Iranian regime. I talked to a lot of people. I'm a journalist. Right? So we know he was talking to the Iranian regime. The CIA knew Tucker was talking to the Iranian regime. And this means that when Trump invited Tucker to the Oval Office multiple times in the lead up to the Iran strike, he knew full well that Tucker was back-channeling information to the Iranians.
I don't know if we can say that per se, because we just don't have like hard evidence of that. That being said, it very well also could be a thing that they also laid a trap to expose potentially this information, this if it was going on. And that also might be why he could be under investigation, is they may have set a trap that they were monitoring to see if this information would get out, and so that, oh my god. I cannot fucking believe I didn't catch the shadow part. I can't believe I missed the Jungian part of this entire fucking conversation.
Essentially, Trump seems to have used Tucker as an unwitting counter-intel asset to convince Khomeini that he was bluffing and that nothing would happen.
You know what? I'm gonna... Please, God, let this be the case. It would be so fucking funny. Please, God, let this be the case. It would be so fucking funny. Oh my god. Oh my god. Imagine getting funding from Khomeini and then feeding him intelligence, but you are so bad at being like a subversive that you end up getting the guy who's paying you killed. Holy fuck. Please, God, let this be the case. It would be so fucking funny. Holy shit.
Trump was able to kill Khomeini thanks to Tucker's arrogance. Unbelievable. This is, again, one of the greatest twists in modern politics history. All right? I don't think this is a Farah referral. If CIA has Tucker talking to the Iranians and he disclosed the substance of his meeting with Trump to the Iranians, then that is treason.
18 U.S. Code 7, Section 793, gathering, transmitting, or losing defense information. Hold on. Let me see how long this is, because I might be able to append this to the video where we can read this after the fact. So, let's see. 18 U.S. Code Section 793.
That is transmitting or losing defense information, and that is treason. Okay, again, not saying that he did it. I'm just saying, whoever lawfully having purpose of access to, control over, or being entrusted with any document, writing, code book, signal book, sketch, photograph, photographic, negative, blueprint, plan, model, instrument, appliance, or note relating to the national defense, or information relating to the national defense, which information the possessor has reason to believe could be used to the injury of the United States or to the advantage of any foreign nation, willfully communicates, delivers, transmits, or causes to be communicated, delivered, transmitted, or attempted to communicate, deliver, transmit, or cause to be communicated, delivered, or transmitted with the same to any person not entitled to receive it, or willfully retains the same and fails to deliver it on demand to the officer, employee of the United States entitled to receive it, etc., etc. This is definitionally.
Okay, so I'm going to pause them there because this is actually not that long, and I could probably get through this. Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely the kind of run-on sentence you see in fucking legal texts. Oh my god. Okay, so entitled to receive it. Okay. Or, hold on, let me make sure I'm, yeah, okay. So this is the end of D. This isn't going to take long at all. Or E, whoever having authorized possession of, access to, or control over any document, writing, code book, signal book, sketch, photograph, photographic negative, blueprint, plan, map, model, instrument, appliance, or note relating to the national defense, or information relating to the national defense, which information the possessor has reason to believe could be used to the injury of the United States or to the advantage of any foreign nation, willfully communicates, delivers, transmits, or causes to be communicated, delivered, or transmitted, or attempts to communicate, deliver, transmit, or cause to be communicated, delivered, or transmitted the same to any person not entitled to receive it, or willfully retains the same and fails to deliver it to the officer or employee of the United States entitled to receive it, or F, whoever being entrusted with, this is one fucking long run-on sentence, whoever being entrusted with or having lawful possession or control of any document, writing, code, book, signal, sketch, photograph, photographic negative, blueprint, plan, map, model, instrument, appliance, note, or information relating to the national defense, 1, through gross negligence permits the same to be removed from its proper place of custody or delivered to anyone in violation of his trust, or to be lost, stolen, okay, that was abstracted, or destroyed, or 2, having knowledge that the same has been illegally removed from its proper place of custody or delivered to anyone in violation of its trust, or lost, or stolen, abstracted, or destroyed, and fails to make prompt report of such loss, theft, abstraction, or destruction to a superior officer, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both. Interesting. So 10-year prison sentence is what we're talking about, possibly. G, if 2 or more persons conspire to violate... Okay, yeah. You know what, fuck it, I'm already here. I'm just going to read the whole thing. If 2 or more persons conspire to violate any of the foregoing provisions of this section, and or more of such persons do any act to affect the object of the conspiracy, each of the parties to such conspiracy shall be subjected to the punishment provided for the offense which is the object of such conspiracy. Any person convicted of a violation of this section shall forfeit to the United States, irrespective of any provision of state law, any property constituting or deriving from any proceeds that person obtained directly or indirectly from any foreign government, or any faction or party or military or naval force within a foreign country, whether recognized or unrecognized by the United States, as the result of such violation. For the purposes of this section, the term state includes a state of the United States, the District of Columbia, and any Commonwealth territory or possession of the United States. That's odd. Okay. Let's see. The court, in imposing sentence on a defendant for a conviction of a violation of this section, shall order that the defendant forfeit the United States all property described in paragraph 1 of this subsection. The provisions of this subsection B, C, and E through P of this section 13 of the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act of 1970, 21 U.S.C. 853B, C, and E to P shall apply to A, property subject to forfeiture under the subsection, B, any seizure or disposition of such property, and C, any administrative or judicial proceeding in relation to such property, if not inconsistent with this subsection. 4, notwithstanding section 524C of Title 28, there shall be deposited in the Crime Victims Fund in Treasury all amounts from the forfeiture of property under this subsection remaining after the payment of expenses for forfeiture and sale authorized by law. Interesting. So, yeah, the part that we actually care about for the most part. Okay, so in theory, Tucker could be looking at both a huge fine as well as 10 years in prison. Interesting.
treason. So, if Trump decided to show up, all right, Trump decided to show up. All right, he decided to have Tucker Carlson meet up with him in the White House. They had such a nice time together. And he decided to tell Tucker Carlson, hey, we're not actually planning on striking Iran at all. You're totally right, Tucker, with all the times you criticized me. I am America first. We're just trying to put our military in the area of Iran to scare them and make a deal. We're not actually trying to fight them. And then Iran actually gets all of their leaders to go to parliament. Because, let's be real, why the fuck would they go to parliament?
If this was real, this is a genius fucking ploy. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that is actually really fucking clever, if this is actually what happened.
When our entire Navy is at their front door. Like, I get it. Our intelligence is brilliant that we knew they were there. But why the fuck would they actually meet up in, like, not a bunker? They're surrounded by the world's superpower. All right? Literally, they got obliterated by Israel 8 months ago. And now the United States is on their front door. They had no chance of victory whatsoever. And they go and all of the leaders meet up together to the point that they all got obliterated in one day, except for Moshtaba, who's probably in a coma and he's a potato. Right? Let's be real. Unless they had information from the United States that they weren't actually going to attack and it was all a bluff.
I actually think this is an extremely reasonable proposition, to be perfectly honest, because that would actually explain a lot. Just because you believe that death for the cause is like, the only way to get into heaven guaranteed, doesn't necessarily mean that you want to die right this second, right? If I could, again, Muhammad's whole thing was, if I could die and if I could fight and die in the cause and then come back to life and fight and die and fight and die and fight and die, it's the fight that leads to the die. Not just the die. That's also important. So, yeah, you know what? I think Nux is actually possibly onto something. He might actually be vindicated on this.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if that information came from Kooky, Tucker, Qatarlson? Wouldn't that be just interesting? Now, admitting you were texting with Iran while you were lobbying the president of the United States against fighting against Iran and expecting to be seen as the victim might be the new definition of insanity. Like, people are realizing how insane this is. Now, of course, Cenk Uygur, retard, Islamist, leftist, supports Tucker Carlson, obviously, because his entire literal political career is Israel bad.
I mean, to be fair, he's the Young Turks is named after a genocidal organization from the Ottoman Empire. I'm just look up what the Young Turks did in World War I, right? How those how are the Christians doing, right? The Ottomans, no, not the Ottomans, the Greeks, the Assyrians, the Armenians. So, I'm just saying, right? You call if someone were to have a news organization called the National Socialists, they'd get all kinds of shit, right? But they call them the Hitler Youth, right? And that might the Young Germans, right? All of that would probably be seen as pretty bad, right? Pretty bad. But you have the Young Turks, which act real genocidal organization, right? And you name your organization after the Young Turks. Oh, I just thought the name was nice. No, fuck off, right?
The United States bad. So Tucker Carlson is also now doing the Islamist grift, so obviously they're on the same side. If Tucker Carlson is actually arrested, the government will have crossed the Rubicon. What?
No, it won't.
For treason? Whatever ridiculous charges they bring up, everyone will know the real reason he opposed the war. And Israel will be considered the first American political prisoner within our whole country. Unless it's treason, and he's literally helping our enemies.
We had political prisoners under Democratic presidents. What the fuck are you talking about?
All right, and he doesn't stop. He just keeps going. Laura Loomer.
What did
I'm no large Laura Loomer fan. I don't really know anything about her. I just see that she's a little bit retarded sometimes on the timeline. Went to India and got called out for racist comments about Indians. But why was she there? And why did she apologize for her comments about Indians? Because Israel is moving on to India. They're trying to get them to hate Muslims just like they did in the U.S. Yeah, totally. The reason why America...
Hey, excuse me? Has this guy never heard of Hindutva? That's like the nationalist make India Hindu again people, right? Like, this guy doesn't fucking know anything. Like, yeah, sure, the Hindutva and like India, they support Israel, but the reason they support Israel is because they just think that Like, they actually will admit this. They just think that, like, different people need their own homeland. So, like, again, like, the Jewish homeland is Israel, so they should have Israel. They'd say, like, the Arab, like, Arabia belongs to the Arabs, so, like, let the Arabs have Arabia. Just like the Hindus have India, so that India should be Hindu. Like, it's not that, it's actually not that hard to understand what, like, the... Excuse me? And yeah, like the Indian discontent with Islam. Yeah, that's not exactly hard to imagine, considering, again, like Iran and Iran funding terrorists, you know. Although, to be fair, India does have a socialist constitution, and they've been fighting a prolonged war against Naxalite Maoists in central India, too. So it's like India's an interesting place. India is a very unstable place.
Americans hate Muslims is not because Muslims keep killing us. All right, it's probably because of Israel. And also India, India hates Muslims because Muslims keep killing them. All right, Pakistan has been doing terrorist attacks against India for 70 years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is a thing. They've also had skirmishes with Bangladesh, which was at one point called East Pakistan, fun enough.
All right, like, let's be honest for a second. All right, Indians hate Muslims. And India and Israel are allies. They're close allies. Very close allies. You don't need Laura Loomer to go to India to convince them to hate Muslims. Muslims do a pretty good job of that themselves, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, I didn't have as much commentary on this as I would personally have liked, but I did get to I did get to see Nux dunk on Tucker Qatarlson, so yeah, that was fair, and I do think I got a deeper understanding of that entire situation. Because I had an epiphany about the fucking shadow projection possession dynamic that might be going on, which I had just never thought about, which is odd because it's like right up my fucking alley, right? Yeah. So I mean, I guess that satisfies my like promise to react to another Skybro video. In this case, it's a Nux Taku video, right? Yeah, I guess y'all have a lovely day, right? Oh wait, hold on. Ayatollah S.A. Oh my god. Yeah, fair enough. One day ago, right? Oh my god. Unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to grape your wife and daughter. No, sir, that's what happens when you give unconditional surrender to a Muslim country. True and fucking real, mate, right? Oh my god. Carlson is pulling a Don Lemon. I'm a journalist. I'm just talking to people. It's my job. I'm not going to stop. Tucker, the Venezuela / Maduro operation was because of gay marriage, Carlson. I don't know if that's is that a real thing? Is that a thing he actually said? Actually, I haven't paid attention to Tucker Carlson in a long time. Okay. Well, again, at this point, I'm just padding out time. So y'all have a lovely day.